What's up, Taiwan? I'm Eric Gao, starting off your week with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. The military here is planning to purchase over 10,000 domestically made rocket launchers and is going to start training new conscripts with these weapons next year. Jaime Okan reports.
Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen made headlines last year when she held up this domestically made rocket launcher. It's called the Kestrel, and it's used to take out tanks and armored vehicles. The military is now placing an order of more than 10,000 units and will start training new conscripts with the weapon next year.
所有采购的武器装备在获得之后，国军会依据敌情的威胁和部队的实际需求来做最适当的配置和规划，发挥最大的效益。
These types of shoulder-fired rockets have been used by Ukraine effectively against Russia's invasion. Systems like the UK's NLAW and the US-made Javelin have shown just how important portable firepower is when defending against an attack.
Absolutely. These man-portable systems are changing ideals about large armies' capabilities. Right? Any army who wants to invade another country or another city has to do it very rapidly and with mass, with power.
Faced with its own threat from neighboring China, Taiwan is looking for new ways to protect its territory. If China were to launch an attack on Taiwan, invading forces would have to land hundreds of tanks and armored vehicles on its beaches. Analysts say the Kestrel rocket launcher would be key to stopping a possible invasion from getting farther inland.
比方说像是攻击主战车侧面、背面，又或者是说攻击比较轻装甲的车辆，那甚至是用来攻击掩体，或者是攻击那个敌人部队的重要的火点等等的，它其实是一种非常泛用的火力支援武器。
Over 5,000 Kestrel rocket launchers are already in service in the army, and military police in Taipei have already practiced using them to protect the presidential office. Now, with 10,000 more on the way, the military is hoping more of its soldiers can get familiar with this small but deadly weapon. Clan Wong and Jaime Okan for TaiwanPlus.
The remains of 4 indigenous warriors killed in the 19th century have been brought back to Taiwan from the University of Edinburgh in Scotland. Louise Watt reports from Tainan, where the remains have arrived.
These are members of Taiwan's Indigenous Paiwan group, and they've just been celebrating the return back to Taiwan of warrior skulls that were taken 150 years ago. This is a cleansing ceremony, an Indigenous tradition that's performed when ancestral remains are returned from outside a community. According to tradition, the skulls can't be seen in public until various rituals have taken place. The skulls of the Paiwan from Taiwan's southern Pingdong County's Mudan Township were taken during a Japanese invasion, and in 1907 ended up in Scotland at the University of Edinburgh, which has now given the skulls back. A homecoming ceremony took place at a museum about 3 hours' drive from Mudan, where testing and research will take place. For now, the skulls will be kept here at this museum in Tainan until a more permanent resting place can be found. And this time it will be up to the Paiwan to decide where that will be. Devon Tsai and Louise Watt in Tainan for TaiwanPlus.
Turning now to world news, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says dialogue with China is in the country's national interest. He is the first Australian leader to visit China in 7 years. Albanese emphasized strengthening trade and economic engagement between the two countries during talks with Chinese Premier Li Qiang. Li said that China will work to remove barriers to foreign investment and to expand market access. Albanese will also meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping during his visit. Relations between the two countries have deteriorated in recent years due to disputes over Chinese telecoms firm Huawei and over COVID-19. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has made an unannounced visit to Iraq. Blinken is in the Middle East for crisis talks amid the Israel-Hamas war. He met with Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani and visited the U.S. Embassy for security briefings. Attacks on U.S. troops in Syria and Iraq have increased in recent weeks. U.S. officials are warning that the war in Gaza could spread into a wider conflict. Blinken also made a stop in Turkey to visit his counterpart there. He has rejected calls for a ceasefire in Gaza, but said that U.S. officials are working to secure a humanitarian pause in the fighting. Back in Taiwan, a China-born Taiwanese woman's bid to become a lawmaker is splitting the local political world. John Van Trieste has details.
On paper, Xu Chunying is the same as any other citizen of Taiwan. She's lived here for 30 years, has this national ID card, and this passport. But Xu was born in China, which claims Taiwan as part of its territory and has vowed to take it by force if need be. And that Chinese background is causing her problems now that she wants to run for office. Naturalized citizens must give up foreign citizenships to run for office and must wait 10 years before they can run. But Xu and the hundreds of thousands of Chinese-born people who've started lives in Taiwan live in a gray area, even if they naturalize like she has. Chinese people who naturalize anywhere else lose their Chinese nationality automatically. But not Taiwan, since China doesn't see it as a foreign country. The only other ways to renounce Chinese citizenship are to be related to foreigners or to have what Chinese officials consider a good enough reason. Xu says this basically leaves her with no way to get rid of her Chinese citizenship, even if she might want to. But with China and its communist leaders becoming increasingly hostile towards Taiwan, not everyone is sympathetic. There have even been questions about her loyalty in some political circles. Ruling Democratic Progressive Party presidential candidate Lai Ching-te even called her a communist, without providing evidence. Reactions have been split along party lines. Whether Xu's hopes to get on the ballot go forward, her case highlights the complications and suspicions Chinese-born people face in making Taiwan their new home. Her potential candidacy also opens up another political fault line just 2 months before Election Day. Delphine Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
One person is dead and 38 people were hurt when a tour bus overturned in Yilan County in northeastern Taiwan. That bus was carrying 42 people, including the driver and a tour guide. One passenger, a 70-year-old woman, was unresponsive at the scene. She was later pronounced dead at the hospital. An initial investigation found that the bus had suffered a brake malfunction. It veered off the road and into a guardrail before overturning. Taiwan has opened its first brain bank. The facility will collect tissue samples to develop drugs and treatments, keeping the country ahead of the game in brain health care. Bryn Thomas has this story.
Pulling back the curtain on the human brain. This facility at the National Taiwan University Hospital in Taipei is the country's first brain bank. It just opened its doors and will soon start collecting samples of brain tissue from deceased donors. Taiwan's medical community hopes it will prove to be a valuable resource for medical professionals.
台湾大部分的研究大概都神经的系统研究大概都局限于动物研究，理由就是因为没有人脑的组织，所以其实从动物到疾病中间跳过人脑组织，其实这是很大的一个我们说 gap。那现在至少我们有这样子的脑库，我们希望可以满足大家的需求。
Taipei's new brain bank joins an estimated 150 others around the world. In the past, medical researchers in Taiwan had to apply for samples from abroad, but accessing them was difficult, and the ones they could get didn't always reflect Taiwan's population. Having a local brain bank creates a library focused on local diseases and disorders and provides samples with Taiwanese genetic makeup. It's hoped that this will help pave the way for better research and, as a result, better medicines and treatment. And although Taipei's medical community says it's a step in the right direction, they also emphasize that it needs community support.
第一个方向就是要让脑库能够维持运作，那这个卫福部这边会来支持。第二个方向的话是脑部的研究，那这个部分的话就政府就要靠这个科技计划来支援。
And while most agree that the brain bank is headed in the right direction, it may take some time before its potential is fully realized. Leon Lin and Bryn Thomas for TaiwanPlus.
A group of cancer survivors and supporters have set off on a bike ride around Taiwan. They're hoping to spread a message to other cancer patients and survivors. Tiffany Wong has this story.
The Unshakable Knights. That's what this group of cancer patients, survivors, and supporters call themselves. They're on a 10-day bike ride around Taiwan to show people that with a strong will and positive attitude, they can conquer anything. The lead rider, Liao Shufang, was 47 when she was diagnosed with cancer. Although she had always paid attention to her health, she decided to try adding cardio exercise to her routine. Now she wants to encourage people to exercise more for cancer prevention and recovery.
一起运动并不只有运动，那个是很多的是心灵上的一个支持，大家都有走过相同的经历。我突然觉得我的身体比以前更好，而且有人一起运动呢，你就可以创造出了更多的快乐。
Keeping the group running is Wu Xingchuan, a former marathon runner and colon cancer survivor. He hopes his story can keep cyclists motivated on the 10-day journey.
大肠癌3期，他这一刀我今天15年来没事，还是一张厚起来家。
As long as cancer is detected and treated early, medical experts say exercise can help patients get better.
有氧运动的对癌友的这个后续的生活品质甚至身体的抵抗力都会有很显著的提升。
This is the Taiwan Anti-Cancer Association's 11th annual cycling tour of Taiwan. A group of medical experts will accompany the riders as they cycle along the coast of the island. Riders hope their journey will help other patients find joy through fitness and give them the strength to fight cancer together. Luffy Li and Tiffany Wong for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's Kinmen Islands are home to endangered Eurasian otters, and Santi Chi explains they're threatened by habitat loss and pollution.
Playful, cute, and increasingly endangered. These Eurasian otters live on the Kinmen Islands, Taiwan's closest point to China, and they are facing an uncertain future.
整个中华民国的范围里面，只剩下金门有稳定的族群而已。那其实以前台湾本岛有，可是就是已经灭绝了。
There are less than 200 otters left on Kinmen, while a recent survey done by the Taipei Zoo shows the population grew from 78 in 2020 to 162 in 2022. The number of mature otters dropped, indicating they are dying early or leaving the islands for nearby China. For years, Kinmen was a frontline military outpost. But as relations with China improved, the soldiers moved out. The islands quickly developed. The civilian population has more than doubled in the past 30 years. And with development comes destruction of the otter's habitat. In 2023, Kinmen has recorded 6 dead wild otters, with the latest one found in September.
大概有50几%都是路杀，就是被发生车祸，然后被撞死。
That's why Kinmen's roads often have signs warning drivers to slow down and watch for otters. To help prevent accidents, the local government has set up underground pathways so the animals can cross safely, keeping them off dangerous roads.
金沙水库那里有设置一些反光镜的措施，那它的原理就是透过车灯去打到那个反光镜，它会亮。那水獭看到了亮光，它就会停下来一下，它会愣一下，那这时候车就可以过去。
While that can help keep otters safe, it's not enough to address the shrinking population. Otters are at the top of the food chain in wetland ecosystems. That means once the environment is unbalanced by pollution, they're one of the most sensitive and vulnerable species.
金门这几年它的开发越来越多，那有一些就是水塘啊、农塘，它们可能被填掉了，做别的用途，那或者是道路一直开。金门岛本身就不是水太多的，因为一个小岛本来就不是雨水太多的地方，变成说人跟水獭争水的问题。
Despite all the threats the otters face, Kinmen still supports one of East Asia's largest Eurasian otter populations. And if action is taken, their decline can be reversed, ensuring these creatures live on for future generations. Alex Chen and Santi Chi for TaiwanPlus.
Thanks for joining us today on What's Up Taiwan. You can find more of our news reports online on TaiwanPlus.com or on our social media. Finally, check out these stonewares in Penghu used in traditional fishing. I'm Eric Gao, and I'll see you later on TaiwanPlus News.